Okay, girls, so I made a video a couple weeks ago about the eighth house and how it's a very intense house and my experience with it. And I did get a lot of feedback and comments about you guys wanting me to talk about the 12th house. That's also a very popular house in astrology. It's a misunderstood house. It's a lot of people I give readings to have 12th house placements, right? And 8th house placements, actually. And it makes sense, right? Because the 8th house and 12th house people are called towards a spiritual life, towards a life where they have to face their shadow. And astrology is a great tool for that, for healing. You know what I mean? There is lots of healing involved and needed in those houses if you guys have planets there. So I wanted to give my take on the 12th house, and I don't have strong 12th house. I mean, I have Saturn there, which I'll explain what that means, but I know a lot of people with 12th house placements, and I know how it plays out. I've been in relationships with people with 12th house placements, and I've done a lot of readings. So I'm going to give you my take on the 12th house, and hopefully it makes sense because it is a very hard house to understand. But the way that I view the 12th house is you can take two paths, okay? You can either take the path of denial, if you have planets there, of avoidance, and just losing yourself in that energy that your 12th house in particular carries. Or the other way I see it, and this is more of the healed, expression, is that this could be the house where whatever planet you have there, you are the guardian angel of people using that planet's energy. Okay, so I'll explain a little bit more. I also want to say, before I go any further, if you have 12th house planets, I do want to give you a big hug. And you may not understand fully unless you're very aware why I feel for you, but I'll explain, okay? Because the 12th house can be literally the house of, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I feel like this, like, what's going on? But here's my take on it, okay? Whatever, if you're a 12th house dominant person, whatever planet you have in the 12th house, like, it was the issue with it, and the energy was not able to be resolved in some way, or was suppressed on some level in your life, okay? And it's not your fault, okay? For example, if your moon is in your 12th house, maybe, you didn't have that maternal energy you needed because your mom was lost somewhere. She was lost in her marriage. She was, the sacrificial Mother Teresa, or she was lost on drugs or alcohol. And so where did your mothering energy come from? We don't know. It went somewhere, and it ended up in the 12th house, right? If your son's in the 12th house, maybe your father wasn't present. Maybe your father was an alcoholic, right? And he was also lost. So where did that authority figure energy come from? See, what's that in the 12th house, right? Maybe they were chasing their dreams, but avoiding, the practicality that they needed to give you. If your Mercury's in the 12th house, maybe you were told to be quiet constantly, or you weren't given a voice, or you couldn't talk on some level, so it ended up in the 12th house. If your Mars is in the 12th house, maybe you had to repress your anger. You maybe were put in a position where you were stuck. You were trying to defend someone, like maybe it was your mom, because she was getting beat up by your dad or something, and you couldn't because you were stuck in the power that you had against, like, your father, or aggressive, like, energy. So there's different ways that the planets in the 12th house can play out, but mainly, that energy is lost somehow in your early childhood, and it's like you end up repressing it, and it becomes part of your subconscious, because that's what the 12th house represents, and so it goes somewhere, right? And so what I come to understand is that people with planets in the 12th house sometimes don't realize that maybe they do, but they don't realize the extent and the gravity of suppression of the energy of whatever planet is in the 12th house. Like, they don't see it, but it does come out constantly in relationships. And if you end up dating or being with someone, or even your friends, right, somebody who's really close to your family will end up noticing, like, there's some issues with whatever planet is there in the 12th house. If it's Venus, like, oh yeah, you definitely idealize love, and somehow you weren't able to resolve the self-worth dilemma that we all have. Like, we all have the self-worth, right? And it ends up in the 12th house because maybe you saw sacrificial love, or betrayals and love and constant forgiveness and love, and so it gets stuck in the 12th house, through your parents' relationships, or maybe there was, like, a lot of, like, sneakiness happening when it comes to relationships in your parents' lives. Anyways, that's just an example. So I'm getting off track. So again, people with 12th house planets, time and time again, I've come to understand that they don't realize the gravity that energy holds. Okay, Mars in the 12th house, you probably don't realize how angry you actually can get, and it comes out in little nuggets in close relationships with people, right? Or when you're drunk, like, oh my gosh, like, moon in the 12th house, you don't realize how sensitive you are, and your depressive tendencies, and how you may not know how to manage emotions until you get into relationships with other people. And this is where sometimes 12th house people can become very damaging to relationships with if they're not aware to relationships with other people, if they're not aware of how much their suppressed emotions or energies are taking a hold of them. Again, because it's hard to realize a lot of things in the 12th house because it's a house that's hidden. Okay, it's hidden from us. Okay, and so the other thing that I wanted to talk about the 12th house is that sometimes with certain people, if there's other factors in the chart, 12th house energy can become so isolating, so sad and full of emotion and exhaustion, that a person will get lost in that energy. Okay, this is where it can become very painful. You could feel like you're drowning in that energy that you cannot express for whatever reason, and people do take on escapist tendencies, and that's like the sad side of the 12th house. You know what I mean? Other times, people that if they have other healthier factors in their chart, they still escape, but through more healthier routes, okay? Because the 12th house can make a person very, very creative. Like, think about the world's best authors, you know, that write fiction books, photographers that are able to display art. You know what I mean? The 12th house people have great imaginations. Healers, there's like a lot of psychic energy, okay? But I think that the higher expression of the 12th house, in my opinion, is going to be that you can be a guardian angel of the energy that is represented by whatever planet you have there. So if you have Mars in the 12th house, for example, you can encourage other people, once you're healed yourself, right, to face their anger. Maybe you're like a coach that, you know, trains a physical therapist, like, you know, you train kickboxing, karate, whatever the case is. You're allowing people to express and heal their own anger. You know what I'm saying? If you have the sun in the 12th house, you help people on some level become confident. Maybe you help heal their traumas, right? If you have Mercury in the 12th house, maybe you're a speech therapist. Like, you can become a guardian angel to other people who need that healthy expression of whatever planet there is in the 12th house. And that's beautiful, right? So with my 12th house, I personally have Saturn there, okay? And Saturn represents restrictions, obstacles. It's like a lot of your karma and where you're going to have a lot of setbacks in life. And the 12th house, right? It is the house of suffering and loneliness and mental health. And I have, you know, had to face a life where I do feel a little bit lonely at times, and I am disappointed. And I, you know, have OCD, mental health issues. I've struggled with that strongly. But, you know, I also realize that Saturn is restricting both the negative and positive energy that can come from the 12th house, because of course I'm not a person that likes to escape. I don't. Like, Saturn's like, nope, you're not allowed to escape in this lifetime, and you're not like, you're gonna have discipline when it comes to 12th house things. So I've never like done drugs. I've never even had a cigarette, you know what I mean? And even when I'm drunk, I never black out, and I can drink, but it's like I won't let myself black out. But on the other side, you know, of like the more positive energy that the 12th house can come from, yeah, I've been very restricted in seeing like the beauty of things, like a healthy 12th house person. Like, you know, my creativity sometimes feels very blocked. I can't let go, let God, and I'm not as forgiving as normally 12th house people. There's part of me that I know is very, very judgmental, and I don't realize the extent of it. I mean, now I do. Through astrology, I've been able to realize the extent of that little gremlin in the back of my mind, you know, Saturn. But I also realize that my gift is discipline. To, you know, Saturn in the to give to the world is discipline, to inspire people with the way that I'm very disciplined about things and methodical. And at some point, you know, getting into astrology and stuff was my purpose. So that's the gift that I'm trying to share with the universe. But again, this is just some examples of how you can use your 12th house the right way through healing. Again, I have seen so many people go through alcoholism or anger management, or be taken advantage of in relationships, or, you know, be very, or get into situations like, you know, Venus in the 12th house, that they, you know, are the other woman or their mistresses, and you don't want to get that. You know, you want to heal your 12th house, because it could lead you to a lot of isolation. And you're like, well, why do I feel so alone? Well, it's because, like, there's consequences to your actions, my loves. And yeah, you didn't deserve anything you went through in your childhood, but in the 12th house, you really have to be honest with yourselves. And I think the best advice is, like, if you know, you surround yourself with people you trust, okay? And if 3 of those people tell you the same thing, it might be something that's worthwhile looking into and checking yourself and going to therapy for.